Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So, I've just gotten back from the local movie theater from viewing Ford vs. Ferrari. I was super excited to see this movie as both Christian Bale and Matt Damon are both really good actors, both two of my favorites actually. And, I when the movie first started, I was interested in the story and the history of it all and in all of that, but it's not like this particular kind of history and this particular story and all of that wasn't as much what resonates with me as some other things out there, which you probably know about if you watch the channel, but I still, just mainly because of the talent involved in the movie, but I was intrigued and definitely wanted to check this movie out. And for the first like half hour of the movie, I thought it was pretty good, but all right. And then to me, near the middle is like the worst part of the movie. Like it starts to kind of drag and it starts to kind of, I mean, there's a developing story throughout the whole thing, so you can't really say it goes nowhere, but it sort of was just at this middle point of just not really intriguing me to follow the story through more, and I was just kind of, pacing my feet and just kind of, like, yeah, if this movie keeps up the way it is, I'm not going to like it that much. I heard it's a longer movie, so I was like, damn, if it's like this the whole time, this isn't going to be very good. I'm probably not going to give it a good review. But, I will say, because it went from like at the beginning when I was viewing it went, as far as grading goes, it actually went from like a fairly moderate, like B plus or even A, like caliber kind of high quality movie, and then later on it started to kind of meander down. I thought near the end maybe I was going to end up giving this movie like a bloody C plus or a C or something like that, because I just became so just like not that intrigued with what was going on and not that invested in the story, but near the last half, like there's the Daytona race before the what the hell is it called? It's the famous race that they win at the end. I was just talking about it. Anyway, but they have the Daytona race first, and then they have the world famous race after that. And from the Daytona race onward, which is like there's still a hefty amount of the movie left. There's still about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. And that section of the story picked up big time, and I became highly invested, and I became highly interested in what was going on, and pumped with the scenes that involved vehicles and in driving along the tracks and all of that. Like it was super adrenaline filled and super well done, and just like it got you pumped, right? And the ending race is epic. Like it really, really is epic. The stakes at the end of the race is super cool, and then it took a really emotional turn at like just nearing the very end. I won't spoil it, and if you know the story or are a huge buff on this particular kind of history, you already probably know about the characters involved. But no, there's definitely one scene and one thing that happens that kind of concludes. Not necessarily concludes the whole story, but concludes the general gist of the ending of the story. And I will say it's very impactful and very emotional. And, I wouldn't go, like, it's kind of tear-jerky, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that. It's more just enlightening. Like, it's just really impactful, I guess is the right word. And so the movie jumped up high in ratings for me after that. And so for my ultimate criticism, though, I will say the last half and the ending is top notch, is awesome, it's brilliant, it's beautifully done. You know, even in the beginning part, like all the scenes with, like, the acting is really good all around, and all the scenes with the cars and the general idea of what's going on is good. It's just near that middle point, there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of talking at desks. You know, there's a lot of kind of seemingly, I mean, not necessarily pointless, but seemingly just kind of irrelevant shots of just random things going on. And just, you know, it is documenting the ultimate progression, but I don't know, it just didn't intrigue me that much at the middle half. And then it really picked up near the end. So that's generally what I'd warn anybody going into this movie. I mean, ultimately you're going to have a good time. Ultimately it's really good. Ultimately it's a high quality. But you're definitely going to, you know, kind of be somewhat invested at the beginning. You know, at least if you're viewing and if you're viewing it, like, this is just my take on the movie, like, everybody's different, but if you're viewing it along, you know, through with my opinion in mind anyway, I will say you'll probably be a little bit kind of interested and sort of like, yeah, like, let's see where this goes at the beginning. But near the middle, you might just find yourself just like, okay, what's going on, kind of pacing your foot, you know, like, what's going to happen from here on out if the rest of the movie is going to be like this. Maybe I'm not all that on board with it. And then near the last half, it really picks up. And I think no matter what you think of the movie beforehand, once the last half hits, you can't help but to become super invested, super intrigued, and you know, and incredibly emotionally impacted by what's going on. So ultimately, I think I'm going to give Ford versus Ferrari a B+. A B+, I think, is what I will give Ford versus Ferrari. That's a suitable rating, in my opinion, anyway. And, yeah, so that's my review for Ford versus Ferrari, everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and I would definitely, absolutely recommend going to see this movie no matter what. It's worth the watch. It's worth the knowledge. It's worth the time out, for sure. All right.